Baruch Spinoza was a 17th century Enlightenment era Dutch philosopher from a Sephardic Jewish background. In addition to his treatise on theology and politics, he's probably best known for his formidable book on ethics. In this reading, I've selected a few key chapters from across his book. In chapter 1, Spinoza writes, "Prophecy is the certain knowledge of something that God reveals to men, and a prophet is somebody who interprets the things God revealed by God to those who can't have a certain knowledge of them and can only accept them through sheer faith." The Hebrew word for a prophet means spokesman and interpreter, but Scripture always uses it to mean the interpreter of God. So notice that the term prophecy in Jewish thought doesn't actually mean future telling. This is more of a Greek innovation. In fact, only in the rarest instances does it ever mean future telling in the Tanakh, which is the proper name for the Hebrew Bible. So take note of how Spinoza thinks of the role of a prophet, which has more to do with revealing the Spirit of God, or even just looking around and observing what's happening socially or politically in the world with clarity. It has less to do with future telling. So Spinoza is also very interested in preserving the uniqueness of the Hebrew Bible's claims, distinguishing as he does between natural knowledge and divine knowledge. And he takes a fair number of shots at Maimonides for this, criticizing him for trying to fit Jewish scriptures into a rational box. Spinoza wants to preserve the peculiarity. He wants it to feel different. It's precisely because prophecy is the expression of divine knowledge that it can't be fully accounted for with human knowledge, according to Spinoza here. So next, in chapter 4, we'll look at Spinoza's view of law. He defines law as, quote, "whatever it is that brings it about that each individual thing or all of some members of the same species act in one fixed and determinate way. A law is based either on one, necessity of nature, or two, a decision of men," end of quote. So, law of nature, laws of men, or laws of God might be followed by humankind out of, he says, love or fear. And then love or fear becomes the reward or punishment for following or disobeying law as well. Spinoza distinguishes between human and divine law, writing, quote, "So there we have it. Law is nothing but a way of living that man prescribes to himself and others for some purpose. Given that, it seems that we need to distinguish between two kinds of law, human and divine. By human law, I mean a way of living that serves only to protect life and protect the state. By divine law, I mean a way of living that aims only at the greatest good, i.e., true knowledge and love of God." End of quote. Finally, Spinoza is not interested in theologies that require us to treat knowledge and faith as these completely separate categories where faith must always serve at the behest of knowledge or vice versa. In chapter 15, he writes, quote, "Those who don't know how to separate philosophy from theology debate the question of which of these is true. They say, perhaps, Scripture should be the handmaid of reason, or reason should be the handmaid of Scripture. That amounts to asking which of these is true. The meaning of Scripture should be adjusted to fit reason, or reason should be adjusted to fit Scripture. The skeptics who deny the certainty of reason accept option 2, whereas dogmatists accept 1. But I have already said enough to show that these parties are both entirely wrong." End of quote. Gotta love his fiery style here. Spinoza argues that Scripture doesn't teach philosophy, but instead Scripture teaches piety. So it's tuned to an intellectual level for common people. So Spinoza says that if you want to square the prophets with reason, you'll have to attribute things to them that they never dreamt of. One example I always think is, what shape do the prophets think the world is, right? We can't attribute to them knowledge that they couldn't possibly have had by trying to make them seem more reasonable. Spinoza, again, criticizes Maimonides for this, and he doesn't pull punches. Of those who say we should simply trust scriptures instead of our own reason, he says that this isn't piety, but instead stupidity. He goes off on a tangent at one point, crying out, quote, "It's stupid. What are they worried about? What are they afraid of? Can religion and faith not be defended unless men stay ignorant of everything and say farewell to reason completely?" End of quote. So in conclusion, Spinoza believes faith and reason must know their proper positions and then work hand in hand together.